I'm here in Komodo National Park in the only permanent village inside the park, Komodo Village. And we've just had about a 1 hour tour around the outskirts of the village where the farmers are planting trees and cultivating crops. We actually saw 5 Komodo dragons, 2 medium size, 1 very large, and 1 small, another medium size. So 3 medium, 1 very large, and 1 smaller, probably a juvenile. We have guides from the national park. He actually just walked by. He's carrying the green stick. That green stick is used to protect tourists from Komodo dragons if they turn aggressive. All 5 of the Komodo dragons that we saw were just lazing under a tree, trying to conserve energy, stay cool in the midday sun. It's about 12 o'clock right now. One of the things the park rangers mentioned is that occasionally the Komodo dragons will attack humans. Most of the time they're after goats or deer that live here in the national park, but occasionally if the humans aren't careful, they may get attacked. So he told a story about somebody who was out gathering honey on another island and accidentally walked past what was probably a Komodo dragon guarding its nest. So it was very aggressive. It chased after him. It bit him on the back of one leg, back of another leg, and the front of his other leg, right leg. He only had 2. And he was also bitten on the hands as he was trying to fend off the attack. He survived, luckily, but he was evacuated to hospital, and he spent about 6 months recovering from that attack. The Komodo dragons have a very toxic saliva filled with bacteria that trigger infection. And because the bites were so deep, I think that infection traveled deep into the muscle, and so it was very hard to treat. And to this day, his fingers are not working properly and look still infected. But he said he's receiving treatment, antibiotics. And this is really what I wanted to mention here is one of the hazards that we almost never talk about in a class on natural hazards, and that's wildlife. And of course, in North America, we have our own significant predators. We've got bears, grizzly bears, black bears that we have to be careful of if we're out hiking. And although they don't have the same kind of toxic saliva that Komodo dragons have, it's still something that we have to prepare for, especially in a park setting. So a lot of park management plans will build in the hazards that are caused by wildlife in protection plans. So Yellowstone National Park. The sun is baking my head, I'm getting my words wrong. Yellowstone National Park has management plans for its large ungulates, bison, elk. Those are very dangerous, especially to tourists who don't know any better. And then, of course, in the backcountry, grizzly bears and black bears. And the same is true in most national parks in Western Canada. So Komodo is just another example of a national park having to plan for all of the natural hazards that are facing especially tourists and locals living in those parks. What I wanted to show you here was the way that the locals have adapted to the threat of Komodo dragons. They build their houses on stilts, and the Komodos cannot climb up these steep steps here. I'll just pan over. And so the humans are relatively safe being up on the 2nd floor, and they still have some usable space down below. But at nighttime, or when Komodos may be wandering around, they have the option of going up to the 2nd floor. So it's a really interesting native adaptation to natural hazards posed by wildlife.